Get the big one. Where's the big one? Go get it.
Okay, welcome to the March 22nd meeting of
Put your jacket, boots on.
the Dauphin City Council. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is Treaty 2 land, traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Cree, OG Cree, the Assiniboine, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and homeland of the Métis Nation. We affirm our commitment to moving forward in partnership with Indigenous communities in a spirit of collaboration and reconciliation. Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Eilers. Be it resolved that Council accepts the regular agenda as presented. Any questions? We'll call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Eilers, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lachlan. Be it resolved that Council waives the reading and accepts and approves as circulated the minutes of the following meeting, that of the regular council meeting of March 8th. Any questions? I'll call the question. In favor? Everybody's here. So moved by Councillor Bellemare and seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that Council now adjourns to hear the public hearings as scheduled. Now commence to hear a representation from the applicant and any persons who wish to make representation for the scheduled public hearing. Anyone who is not registered but wishes to make a presentation for the public, please state your name so we can add to our registration list. So I guess that's that. Tim Baker, are you on the line?
I am.
Okay. We will now proceed with the public hearing for variance application 120206-7300/VO21-01/02 for owner and applicant TNC Roofing and Exteriors Limited, care Tim Baker, for Lot 3, Lot 26, Plan 243 DLTO 314 Main Street South, to allow principal building with a reduced rear yard setback from 6 meters to 3.048 meters for the construction of a 30 by 38 1,100 square foot building to be used for construction contractor, interior storage, and shop use in a commercial central zone to comply with the City of Dauphin zoning bylaw. Would the applicant like to speak in favor of the application?
No, that's kind of where I want it, just for infrastructure wise, with the side lot to the other lot that I own, the Avery block, with the pizza joint going in there, just to keep everything moving properly from side to side, and kind of make it a lot easier having the building back a little bit further.
Oh.
That's about it.
Okay, does council have any questions of the applicant for clarification purposes only? Any questions? There's no other people here to speak in favor. Nobody here to speak, object. Anybody else wants to talk about the application? No. The representation for this public hearing are now completed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for those who joined for this public hearing. Council's decision on this application will be final and not subject to appeal. Moved by Councillor Eilers, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lachlan. Be it resolved that council now reconvenes to the regular council meeting.
Tim Baker,
Is now exiting.
Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that the public hearing for variance application 120206 7300/VO21-01/02 for owner and applicant TC Flooring, Roofing and Exteriors, care of Tim Baker for Lot 3, Block 26, Plan 243 DLTO, 314 Main Street South, to allow a principal building with a reduced rear yard setback from 6 meters to 3.048 meters for the construction of a 30 by 38, 1,100 square foot building to be used for construction contractor interior storage and shop use area in a commercial central zone be now concluded. Any questions? All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Eilers, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lachlan, whereas due notice was given with respect to variance application 120206 7300/VO-21-01/02, and whereas no objections were received to the application, be it resolved that variance application 120206 7300/VO-21-01/02 for owner applicant TNC Roofing and Exteriors, care of Tim Baker for Lot 3, Block 26, Plan 243 DLTO, 314 Main Street South, to allow a principal building with a reduced rear yard setback from 6 meters for the construction of a 6 meters to 3.048 meters for the construction of a 30 by 38 foot, 1,100 square feet building to be used for construction contractor interior storage and shop use area in a commercial central zone, and to comply with the City of Dauphin zoning bylaw be approved with the following condition. The owner applicant obtains and submits all required permits and documents required by the City of Dauphin for the construction of the proposed contractor building, and all construction shall conform to the Manitoba Building Code. In the event that the property title remains separate and use service branch connection from the street lines to the building will be required, the cost of the new service connection will be the responsibility of the property owner. Lot surface drainage cannot adversely affect the adjacent property, and it's recommended that it is done in consultation and cooperation with adjacent property owner. Any questions? Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. This is later. This is in the wrong place. What's that?
Our economic development manager.
Next?
Full information.
Is that it?
It's the delegations forms, proclamations.
Oh, delegations. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, moved by Councillor Bellemare, second by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that council accepts this information, the presentation of Brian Baker, Economic Development Manager of the City of Dauphin. And Brian, are you on the line?
I am.
Go ahead.
All right, you guys want to, is this okay without video?
Yep, that's fine, Brian.
Okay. Well, I guess I'm just here to give you an update on what's happening and what hopefully will be happening soon with the hopefully more relaxed restrictions on the pandemic. Again, hopefully only because we're getting better, not because we need to get out, because I would lots to see it coming. I guess I'll talk a little bit right off the bat about the rehab healing center and how it's basically been put on hold for several reasons. We started out quite gung ho with it. I did a fair amount of research on, you know, what was available in existing prisons, a number of beds available, discrimination within prisons, overcrowding, funding, and looked at funding opportunities in those areas as well. One of the things we certainly discovered was that the conditions in the prisons and the amount of work that was done only shows that there was not enough beds in Manitoba, yet they felt there was to shut down hours. But in saying that, after doing the research, it certainly didn't say that way. And certainly with the CTV coverage, it also looked as if there was issues as well with the overcrowding. Unfortunately, it started off gung ho, but with the pandemic and everything shut down, we really hit a wall, because one of the most important parts of this piece, if we're going to look at a healing center and potentially rehab healing center together and an educational portion, is we need the support of our Indigenous people. And in all honesty, after doing courses in cultural sensitivities, as well as realizing the best way to do this was just to get out there and be a part of the culture and understanding the culture and bringing it to them instead of them bringing it to us. We couldn't really do it during the pandemic. One of the good things about it is hopefully those restrictions are lifting, and I've managed to make contact with a gentleman who does quite a bit of work for the consultant for the Indigenous bands, and his name is Robert Lavalley, and he's going to be willing to work with me, not only to help me understand a little bit more about the area, but also potentially to even be present at the part of the interviews and the speaking with and the visitation to the areas, to basically see, we'll make that connection much easier and hopefully be somewhat of a easier, I guess, just moving into that situation, being with the cultural differences, certainly would be well versed in that area. So we hope to see that, and certainly COVID has relaxed a little. I'm sure we do still see some things in the variants, but we were hoping to get it done by fall, but of course with all the things that happened. So now with the spring coming in, we hope that we can be back on the road and doing presentations and talking with our First Nations to discuss ways in which we can work together to make this project happen. Any questions?
We'll ask questions at the end of your presentation.
Perfect. Another area that I've been working on, and I've been working on since I've been here, is the retail and industrial attraction. I still maintain constant contact with developers in Winnipeg, Ontario, and Alberta in particular. I've also been in contact with a couple U.S. ones that were in specific areas. I've done some research on the markets to look at what potential markets we can be looking at, and the European markets seem to be rebounding fairly well, with the UK and Germany already having significant investment in this area, and in Canada, certainly good areas for us to look in, because they're anticipating 20% growth over the next 5 years. So with any luck, we'll certainly be into those areas. I have set in on a couple different things that dealt with trade with the UK as well as our Ukrainian connection. One of the things that has really hampered this, obviously, is again COVID, and not to pen the excuse all the time, but at the end of the day, nobody is going to invest unless they can visit. I mean, we were at some really good retail opportunities, one and actually two of which were very interested in the area, but are not going to be. They're just not going to invest without actually seeing what they're investing in and looking at the potential land. I mean, one of the questions that was asked of me is, they would like to come in and check it, see if the land is too wet for anything and how much work would need to be done to bring it up to a building ability. So that's kind of where we stand there, but I still continue to maintain contact. I'm still continuing to work with other retail investors as well as industry to look at the possibilities of people coming here. Some of the areas I have looked in in greater depth is certainly the medical equipment. As much as COVID has driven the medical equipment and supplies and seems to be a shortage, one of the things that it also has done is made the industry aware of, these things will likely happen again or something very similar to it. And we would certainly now would think that we would be more prepared to, have things like our gloves and our masks and whatnot that need to be on hand for the different facilities as well as the public. So hopefully that's going to also look at the possibility of us doing some manufacturing in that area, being that much of the equipment and stuff now, they're reaching out to have manufacturers, again, for more of a preparatory as it is to being reactionary like it was this time. Another area that I've looked at and has been in several areas of technology, some of which have been in security and the animation sectors. Both are growing fairly well. The gaming one is still growing and has been growing for years. And the security one now has become far more technical. And it's not so much, it's talking about security systems. So it's very high in computer related, very high tech, high paying jobs. So those are things that we would have to do specific training in. But again, the utilization of the college or existing systems in Manitoba could certainly make us more adept to handle any type of technological advancements. Another area that we looked at, and this was stimulated a lot by the car race that we were supposed to have, or I don't know it's a tour, I guess. Is it, Charlotte? It's not really a race.
That's right. It's more of a tour.
Yeah, and so they were coming up through, and it's all to do with the electric vehicles. And GM and Honda now profess that by end of this decade to early 30s, there will be no more gas engines in either of their plants. There will be nothing only electrical, and I think there was a potential of hydrogen as well. But that's where the industry is heading, and as the cost gets lower, they're going to be looking for places to invest. One of the areas that they do need more and more investment in is in the lithium battery or lithium cell industry. So I've certainly looked into that a little bit, not a whole lot yet, but now that we have our charger up and we're on the list for places to go to get your charge and quick charge system that we have, I think that's something we can certainly look at in the future and see what potentials are there. Not only at the lithium industry, there are a lot of new players into that game that are looking for potential places to do construction and for particular components such as they do for the gas engine stuff. So there may be some ways in there with the lesser companies to get potential investment into a smaller area. Of course, you'll know that the RM and the city are working together to look at ways to market our business park and get more use out of it. We've sent out an RFP and received 4 proposals, which we will be reviewing on Thursday. And depending on the cost or the amount of negotiations that may be needed, hopefully have something in play by, I think our goal to have it done is by the first week in August. So we almost need to get it out ASAP. So that hopefully will come to fruition, but again, it'll have to be reviewed and we'll have to look at the financial implications. Another area that I've been really involved in lately, and I've actually sat in on several symposiums, several meetings, a conference, is on plant and animal-based protein. And we're certainly very well equipped in this area to be involved. We're the 3rd largest, producer. Jumping ahead of myself. Sorry. We certainly have a lot of, diverse agricultural industry, and we can grow, plenty of different types of crops. Plus, we have a good cattle industry, which is obviously a potential in the animal-based proteins. One of the other things that has really grown in the global sphere is the use of hemp, and it is actually now being considered one of the super products because it really is involved in every facet of from manufacturing rope to actually being incredibly good in the food industry. So I've been talking to a couple of firms locally. Locally being Manitoba, and I've also been in touch with the government regarding investment into that area. And I've also been in touch with a consulting firm out of New York City who actually raises capital for businesses in that area. So I've been in touch with a few people. We are the 3rd largest producer in Canada behind Alberta and Saskatchewan, respectively. And we certainly have the ability and the availability of land and certainly gifted people in the agricultural industry that we could certainly ramp up if there was some possibility of us getting something even more substantial in the area. We do have a couple of players that are into the marijuana industry right now, and we're going to see a local guy hopefully have a retail outlet right in Dauphin within the next year or so. We also have a guy doing CBD extraction at this point. And these are areas which again, potential growth is there, and certainly something we should be looking into. And I will continue to look into those areas just to, certainly see about the possibilities and moving forward some of the things that we can actually do to bring them into the area even quicker than, anticipated. We certainly, again, have the production here, but we also have the expertise. So I really feel that this is an area that we can certainly concentrate on in the future. To go into tourism, certainly been a very difficult time in the tourism industry. Certainly one of the hardest areas, during the pandemic. And I'm sure Amber could answer more questions on this if she was here, but she just got back. So I felt that she really needed a little time to get back on her feet before she had to come in and do a presentation. So I'll do some kind of haphazard job on it to hopefully make you aware of some of the things going on. We're working with government and tourism operators and local businesses and organizations to find new ways to market more locally. Our advertising budget's a lot on the Manitoba-based travel now, as opposed to elsewhere, because there's just simply nobody traveling. We've worked on our rebranding process, and I think we have a meeting on Wednesday with government where they're going to give us a presentation on that. And hopefully that's not in the too distant future, because there are a couple of things that are stemming on that being done. We're also going to work with some tourism operators and hopefully produce packages for the area. And when I say the area, I mean, we're talking you know, from Brandon to it's the parkland, and look at ways in which we can, you know, have people do day trip destinations at a Dauphin to, you know, basically the number one thing for the tourists is to get them staying here for longer periods of time. And if we have to share those periods of time to build a 2 week, you know, itinerary, then I think that's where we have to head to make sure that we do get them here for 2 or 3 days and get them spending money. And of course, we're continuing to produce the visitor's guide and going fairly well considering the situation. They're still the same investors, and we're still trying to, you know, do things with that as well. We also have the new welcoming guide, which is done, and actually all kinds of printed versions in my office, which we offered to. I think there's so many gone out to our friends at Regional Connections. Plus, they're quite available if you come in and want one at our in the office. One of the things that we need to do is we've had money in the budget for the last year to develop the booth and tourism for tourism and both industry. It'll be one booth, but it'll have two to three backdrops that will be interchanged for different types of events and or things that are done locally. We will hopefully we've got the equipment picked out. We know what we want. We basically now just need some fun to finalize this portion of it to make sure that we get the correct brand, and all of our brand stems with our website. Everything has to be branded the same, or it just won't make a whole lot of sense to anybody wishing to come to the area. That's the main areas. A couple other areas that I've been looking at. Of course, you guys know the strat plan is going to be broadcasted on the 31st, and we're going to be doing live there, as well as we're going to be taking, you know, any suggestions over the internet and whatnot. I think there's going to be at least 2 or 3 of us available from 1 to 3 that day to answer anybody that has any questions at that point. I've been working on a business retention and expansion strategy that I will finalize hopefully within the next couple of weeks. And I'll be looking at administering that over the next couple of months. Once the work is done, I will analyze the data and present a final document that will hopefully help us understand our business sector needs. Basically, this is just figuring out where the businesses are and figuring out ways in which we can help them progress. And certainly it'll be, I'm sure there'll be some eye openers. I've done these before, and I'm sure there'll be some eye openers to some of the things that really don't even amount to a whole lot of investment that we can do to help these businesses survive through the pandemic times, and also through the times when, you know, they can be expanding and looking at different markets. I have looked at some of the incentive packages, which I'm hoping to do a meeting on real soon to talk about our incentive packages that we have and ways to look at them differently. I've also spoke with other EDOs in the region to acquire some of their incentive packages, and basically, I guess, to pillage them for what they have good, and certainly see what we can do to make ours more, I don't know if we would say more acceptable or more, you know, just more response, I guess, and looking at ways in which we can incentivize people coming into the area. And I guess for the most part, that's it. I did, you know, some training and marketing readiness, and you know, writing for council, business ethics and negotiations. I'll continue to do that stuff. But I hope with the pandemic, this will prove to be a far more fruitful year.
Is that it, Brian?
It is.
Oh, I'm going to ask any councillors have questions of Brian? Councillor Yeo.
Thanks, Brian, for your report. I have 3 questions for you. Just wondering if you have any information on how COVID-19 impacted any of our local businesses and some of the difficulties.
I don't have any real direct knowledge of it, other than I've talked with a few of the business people out there and talking about the lack of investment, the lack of things happening in the area and growth. but this is what the business retention and expansion strategy. These are some of the, there will be a section in there completely on COVID, so we can analyze what has actually happened, what is happening. And I mean, we've seen some businesses close, we've seen some businesses struggle, and certainly in talking with people in the food industry has been a very difficult time. But I think now is the time for us to get it and actually get a more grasp on everything that has happened and how we can hopefully change it moving forward.
Okay, and the second one I have is just wondering, you have some really good ideas, but wondering if our economic development committee, have you run those by them? I'm just wondering if they have any input.
Actually, there's a little bit of a disjoint in that right now, and I've actually started the process of bringing it back together. And I know that our chairperson wants to step away from that process, so we're going to actually have someone come in to do an organizational thing, actually create a executive, so that I can call on them much easier and not even to the point where we would have to have all meetings. You could actually just have an executive meeting to deal with some of the issues as well. So I'm hoping to revamp that and have it up and running. And I would hope that that would all be done, and we'll have a good functional meeting with a new chair and likely a new executive by the end of April.
Okay, thanks. And the last one I have is, so I was over as a business owner, I was over at the Hub looking at their space. And actually, we had an excellent conversation around business retention between the Hub and their federal grant, as well as Community Futures. Do you work closely with them?
I haven't worked I have worked some with the Hub, and I plan on working with the Chamber and the Hub. We're going to develop some kind of, talk to Stephen about it. I've talked briefly to Carissa about it, developing some kind of training program to help people individually. Like the Hub offers a lot of training for helping people to deal with e-commerce and to become, have websites and have online presence. But because of, some of our business people are of the older generation and have not really paid a lot of attention to the e-commerce and stuff, and we felt that during the pandemic they were kind of disadvantaged. So what we would like to do is actually develop, when these guys come in to do the training, we'd like to develop some one-on-ones where the people can actually, learn directly from those individuals. And as for the Community Futures, I sit on a regional meeting with them we do one a month for sure, sometimes one every 2 weeks. I know the last one we dealt with, we were dealing with the broadband issue, and our city actually gave a letter of support for that. So constantly involved with them, and certainly, any business who is looking for any type of investment, I would point them in that direction, because they do have government dollars available, and some of which, can be acquired through grant, and not only just the loans program. So, yeah, I deal firmly with them. I will probably be dealing with the Hub a lot more in the near future, being the fact that we're going to try to design that program. So I'm actually I was supposed to meet with Stephen this week, but it seems to be quite full for both of us. So we're trying to put it off to try to do something next week to actually look at the possibility of all three of us working together and finding a way to administer some kind of program which directly goes to the business sector.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Any other councillors? Councillor Bellemare?
I can't hear anything.
Okay, we're on a roll here. Hello. With regard to the chamber that we have, Brian, can you outline your how you and the chamber are working together in terms of your meetings or your committees or that sort of thing, just so I know how you're settling in with that piece of your job?
Honestly, most of it from the perspective is I go to most of the meetings that they have, and and talk with some of the people there, but we haven't formalized anything. And that's also one of the things that we were going to discuss as I was talking to Stephen about being a member, and he's not sure if that's needed as much as I would sit in for anything that would be a part of whatever it is that may be, important to us. As far as I'm concerned, anything that happens in the chamber is important to us because it's a way of certainly our tax base and moving forward. So no, I won't lie, I haven't formalized anything. I've been a part of their meetings that I've been invited to. I've talked with Stephen on several occasions regarding things that we could do. We gave them some dollars to go towards the program that they were doing, buying up different gift cards and that to help the businesses in the area. But it's certainly something that we both say that we could do better, and we're actually going to sit and figure out where I can fit in the structure itself. He's not sure if I need to attend every meeting. I have zero problems if that's what wants to be. I can sit as a advisor or anything. I don't know if I'd be a member, but that would be the choice of the council, not me.
I'm just getting my mic adjusted. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Any other questions of people? Devin, do you have a question?
I have a question.
Go ahead,
I do,
Devin.
yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Brian, for your comprehensive report there. There's a lot of information there, and it appears you've been working very hard at different aspects of your position. Sorry, I just had to. I know on the last little bit of your report, you were speaking about the incentive package, and I had some audio problems, so please forgive me if you mentioned this. Just in terms of the incentive package, is this just on the homeowner, house owner, or was there a component with sort of the business incentive side of things as well?
I would think that the homeowner stuff we would revisit, but I'd actually think that the major area of concentration is going to be the business and industry sector. I've talked to a couple of places that actually have set strategies, whereas they don't veer away from them, and they're kind of envious of us that we can do it based on the fact that we can individually do every business and look at where they fit into the program. I think it needs to be a somewhat of a fusion of both those ideas, because I think we do need a set standard, but I also think we need the ability to go outside of that too, because if someone's going to be, not saying $1 million investment is not good, but if you got $1 million investment and $1 billion investment, you might want to bend over a little bit more for the $1 billion investment than you will the $1 million. So at the end of the day, I'm glad that we have those parameters, but I think we do need something. And to answer your question, I mean, totally agree. I think that the housing ones we certainly will be looking at, but for us right now, I think the industry and business ones are the ones we need to look at even more clearly.
Great, thank you.
Anybody else? No. Okay, Brian, thank you very much for your presentation, and we'll look forward to progress in all the areas that you have mentioned.
I certainly hope to see it this year.
Okay. No, probably we have to see it this year.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. All righty.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on. Moved by Deputy Mayor Laughlin and seconded by Councillor Eilers. Be it resolved that all items listed under item 5 consent agenda be approved as follows and form part of these minutes. There's nothing in the consent agenda. Action item. There's the proclamation for World Poetry Day and National Poetry Month. Um, Whereas we recognize the cultural importance of language and literacy as a primary means of conveying knowledge, and whereas we agree that literature is defined as words raised to an art form, and whereas we acknowledge that poetry is among the oldest forms of literature, and that it aims to express humankind's greatest hopes, fears, loves, and dreams. And whereas we understand that literacy is nurtured by the sharing and promotion of all forms of literature, and whereas United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization has declared observance of World Poetry Day on March 21st every year. And we encourage our citizens to enrich themselves through partaking in all forms of culture. We support the idea of promoting literature and specifically poetry in our community. Now, therefore, we, the Council of the City of Dauphin, do proclaim March 21st, 2021 as World Poetry Day and April 2021 as National Poetry Month, dated this day in Dauphin and signed by the mayor. And we're planning for sometimes in April to have a poet here. And if anybody knows of anybody with poetry skills, please let us know. We'll certainly accommodate them at one of our council meetings. And sunset and the evening star, and one clear call for me, that there be no moaning of the bar when I be put out to sea. Alfred Lord Tennyson. And for some reason, from grade 11 or grade 12 English, I remember that. So we'll see what happens down the road. Now the filing items, AMM, provincial responses to 2020 AMM resolutions, AMM events, message from displayers, Civiltas, respectful leadership, and news releases of March 5th and 12th, and member advisories of March 11th and 12th, FCM voice, FCM board nominations are open, profiling Western priorities for budget 2021, FCM Connect, March 9th, 12th, and 16th, and media releases, municipal relations, current reassessment cycle. Fire department training during COVID-19 restrictions, and 30-party inspectors and farm buildings. See an announcement of Vice President for Government and Regulatory Affairs, Manitoba Education, 2021 Statement of Educational Support Levy, Mountain View School Division, March 8th, 2021, Parks Canada admission rates for 2022 as recommended by the mayor and city manager. Any questions? I'll call a question. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following corporate report for March 22nd, 2021 regular council meeting, that of the city manager. And go ahead, city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's been a couple weeks since our last meeting, and it has been a busy March so far. In terms of COVID-19 updates, as of March 18th, when I was writing the report, there was no changes to the public health orders that would warrant a change in the operations of city facilities. So all facilities are operating at a status quo. However, our friends at Dauphin Rec Services have seen some, are continuing to reopen. The Kinsman Pool did open on March 17th with restrictions. Credit Union Place, or the Cup, has been open for several weeks under the current public health order, but economics have determined that it will close for the season on March 31st. So it'll be taking the ice out. However, the 2021 minor ball registration opened on March 14th, so that does give another opportunity for our kids to be continue to be active. Also on March 17th, the province announced that they will be considering changing the Manitoba Pandemic Response System color code from red or critical to orange or restricted, and loosening some of the public health orders regarding gathering sizes and business capacities, as well as opening cinemas, gaming centers, and casinos, and that's all with certain or varying levels of restrictions. The province is requesting that the public complete a survey, as they have, I think, in front of each and every one of those openings at engagemb.ca to share your thoughts about the proposed changes. Further to that announcement last week, I was contacted by Global TV News and 680 CJOB Radio to provide comment on the City of Dawson's thoughts on relaxing the public health order rules, which I did in consultation with the mayor. And I have to say that I think there was probably a 4 or 5 second clip of me on Global News. It didn't say my name. It didn't say Dauphin. It was a poor picture. And I think I just didn't give them the news that they were looking for. So yeah, nothing really spicy or juicy came out of it. We were just, stay the course, continue to follow the public health orders, follow the province's lead, and let's get through this, which didn't really make news. Next up is the strategic plan. So council has been working on creating the strategic plan for the future of the City of Dauphin for several months, and recently has been working with the Economic Development Manager and the Information Communications Technology Manager to record video to accompany a slide presentation of the plan as part of a communication tool to share the information with the public. The presentation will be posted to the public on March 31st, 2021 through the city's website and social media. Paper copies can be requested from City Hall if residents do not have access to the internet. Usually strategic plans have a public consultation or a public presentation component, but with the restrictions due to the pandemic, I do appreciate the council did want to do something and use an alternate method to launch the information online. So between the hours of 1 and 3 p.m. on March 31st, a member of council, the Economic Development Manager, and I will be available to take live questions from the public, and that will be via phone and email. And the public can also make comments at any time thereafter using the phone, email, or regular mail. So we do encourage everybody to tune in on March 31st. We have an advertising campaign that we're getting into the newspaper and onto the radio and then onto social media as well starting this week. And so we can make sure that we get that information out. And the last topic I talked about was a municipal service delivery improvement program. On March 11th, the province issued a news release regarding this new program. More information was shared about it on March 12th. Through a news bulletin from the province, as well as a presentation or part of the presentation during a regular COVID-19 update on March 18th with the province. So the Municipal Service Delivery Improvement Program provides municipalities and planning districts with financial support to complete value for money service delivery reviews of programs and services, performing audits through a consultant on aspects of municipal business such as transportation, protection, water and sewer, recreation and culture, planning, and general government administration. Municipalities will work directly with third-party consultants to analyze the effectiveness, efficiency, and economy of dollars spent on services or programs that have been identified by the municipality. The audit will result in a report of the analysis and actionable recommendations, which must be posted publicly and submitted to the Minister of Municipal Relations. This is a 5-year program with a $5 million budget, and that budget is to be paid to the consultants to do this value for money delivery review. The Director of Finance and I reviewed the program, and considering that the province does not have some of the aspects of the program finalized yet, along with several city management members who are away or they're not wouldn't be prepared for a review right now because they would be relatively new in their position. We anticipate to be participating in this program in 2022. The first round of it, actually, the closing date for the application is the end of April. And we're not, I wasn't confident that there was going to be all of the information even submitted to us to review, to be certain of what we would be applying for. So we did have some reassurance that this is not a one-time thing. This will go on in the future. So we're looking forward to working with the province and consultants on that. And that concludes my report.
Any questions of City Manager, Councillor Bellarmine?
Yes, just one quick question. You had mentioned that on March 31st, there would be the opportunity for people to call in about our strategic plan. Is that the same time when it's going to be put on the website on the 31st? Okay, not before then, but from then, and then the consultation would be for how long after the 31st?
Yeah, so we will have an opportunity for live questions right on March 31st in the afternoon, and then I anticipate that we would be open to any questions, you know, within the month thereafter. It's not specifically for making changes or to provide input into the plan, but more if there's questions or clarifications needed, as well as there can be notes that we'll keep track of for the next round, or if there's anything, you know, that people really want to see the next time around.
Any other questions of the City Manager? Okay, call the question. All in favor? Motion. Councillor Stakilo, seconded by Councillor Bellemare. Be it resolved that Council accepts as information the following corporate report for March 22nd, a regular council meeting, that of the Economic Development Manager. And we heard that, I think. Any questions? Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Euler, seconded by Councillor Stakilo. Be it resolved that finance accounts have been examined by Council, be hereby authorized and approved as follows. Check numbers 27833 to 27891 for 59 checks for $458,378.21. There's no voided checks in current or past ranges. Electronic payments, quite a few here. Just highlighting anything over 15,000. The Dauphin Rec March March funding 141,125.05. The Dauphin Public Library, their first quarter allotment of $16,366.25. Manitoba Hydro, the street lights, $15,390.43. Municipal employees benefit pension and LTD, $37,653.61. Parkland Regional Library, first quarter allotment, $18,307.18. Receiver General of Canada, source deductions, $38,677.55. Urban Systems, $52,500. The train systems, the progress payment for the city shops work of $57,153. Any questions of councillors? I'll call the questions. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Eilers, seconded by Councillor Juba. Be it resolved, the council accepts this information. The minutes and reports of the following committees: Rec Services, regular board meeting January 27th, regular board meeting of March 3rd, for Dauphin Museum, manager's report of January 22nd, manager's report of March 1st, 2021. Any questions? Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Loughlin, seconded by Councillor Eilers. Whereas the fire department was successful in securing provincial fire protection grant to support fire protection and emergency response across the province, up to 89,000 for a tracked skid steer to use for training purposes, and whereas through resolution 2021-152 on March 8, 2021, council approved the purchase of a 2018 Case TR320 skid steer for $58,000 plus applicable taxes. And whereas the fire protection grant allows for additional purchases directly related to the skid steer, be it resolved that council accepts this information, a memorandum dated March 18, 2021 from the fire chief indicating that upon receipt and inspection of the Case 2018 Case TR320 skid steer as approved for purchase through the provincial fire protection grant program, the loader was found to be heavily used and in need of replacement. Further be it resolved that council accepts this information, the loader bucket quotation from Rocky Mountain Equipment of $1,540 plus applicable taxes. And further be it resolved that considering the purchase of the bucket is within the grant allotment from the fire protection grant, council agrees with the fire chief's recommendation and authorizes the city of Dauphin to purchase the loader for use with the above mentioned skid steer to be funded from a transfer from the city of Dauphin's operating budget to be fully reimbursed with proceeds of the fire protection grant. Any questions? Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Eilers, whereas on February 22nd, council passed the resolution 2021-110 approving the lease between the city of Dauphin and District Handyvan for lease of space in CN station starting April 1st, 2021. And whereas the district and Dauphin and District Handyvan Association currently situation changed and they do not need the space until April 1st, 2021. Be it resolved, the council accepts this information, a memorandum dated March 18th, 2021 from the city manager on behalf of to reconsider a resolution for 2021-112 from February 2022 to February 22nd, 2021 regular council meeting that authorizes a CN station lease agreement between the city and the Dauphin Handyvan Association starting on April 1st, 2021. And further be it resolved that the city CN station lease start with the Dauphin and Handyvan Association to be discussed at the April 6th regular council meeting. Basically, they have to pay lease to the end to the beginning of August. And we said, well, we'll hold you the space, but to save them 2 months of rent from the old building. 4 months. We'll we'll just start the lease at a different time. But that'll be discussed at the April 6th meeting. Move by. Oh. Any questions? Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Euler, seconded by Councillor Rial. Be it resolved that Council accepts correspondence dated March 8th from Deborah Sonowski, Regional Program Manager, Dauphin Regional Connection, requesting a grant for 2021 for $15,000. And further be it resolved, the Council forwards the grant request to the 2021 budget deliberations. Any questions? Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, seconded by Deputy Mayor Loughlin. Be it resolved that Council accepts correspondence dated March 19th from Lori Bremner, Finance of Dauphin and District Handyvan Association, requesting a grant for 2021 for $10,200. Further be it resolved that Council forwards the grant request to the 2021 budget deliberations. Any questions? Call the questions. All in favor? Motion carried. Moved by Councillor Juba and seconded by Councillor Eilers. Whereas the Dauphin Kings leases agricultural land owned by the City of Dauphin and the RM of Dauphin, with the yearly lease payments due April 1st of each year. Further, and be it resolved, the Council accepts this information correspondence dated March 15, 2021 from Ashley Shaw, President of the Dauphin Kings Hockey Club, requesting the City of Dauphin and the RM defer the payment for the Dauphin Kings to submit their payment on the agricultural lease land from April 1st, 2021 to later in the fall after harvest to prevent, to help alleviate financial pressures on the effects of COVID-19 pandemic on the hockey club. Further be it resolved that Council accepts this information, a memorandum dated March 18th from the City Manager outlining the above information, and the RM of Dauphin has agreed to deferring the payment to November 1st, 2021, and recommending the City Manager to do the same. Further be it resolved that Council agrees with the City Manager's recommendation and defers the 2021 agricultural land lease payment from the Dauphin Kings Hockey Club for land jointly owned by the City and the RM to November 1st, 2021. Any questions? It was discussed at the liaison.
It's your jacket. Too much static electricity.
Well, turn up the heat. Moved by Councillor Stakilo, second by Councillor Juba. Further be it resolved that information on the invitation listed below, Chamber of Commerce event, March 25th, 2021, tackle your due list. So this is, councillors want to attend that, please register. Moved by Councillor Bellemare, second by Councillor Stakilo. We'll start with the councillor privileges, and we'll start with Counselor Sakilo, are you ready?
Yep. Yes, I am. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. For myself, March 8th, regular council meeting. March 15th, the strategic planning and priorities meeting. March 18th, I attended a Dauphin neighborhood renewal meeting. And that's it for council work, council related meetings. Back on March 9th, I joined the Chamber of Commerce celebration night online. I just wanted to say congratulations to all the nominees in all the various chamber categories, and especially congratulations to all this year's winners. For the Young Entrepreneur of the Year, Matt Cernick, HD Service, Business Persons of the Year, Carrie and Rochelle Federchuk of Fud's Convenience Store, Business Appreciation Individual, Andy Daly, and Community Appreciation Group, the Dauphin Kings Hockey Club. Dauphin is very fortunate to have some outstanding members as part of the chamber, and it's nice every year that there's an opportunity to recognize those individuals and the hard work and effort that they put into their businesses and groups. I just wanted to make note, there are some things loosening up and some changes happening in terms of the restrictions out there. And to note, I did notice that DRS has made some changes to things going on over at the facilities. With one of them being the pool being able to be open up to limited numbers, and I saw that they are taking bookings for swims at the pool. And with spring break next week, I imagine it will be pretty busy. So if anyone is wanting to book a spot, they can check the DRS website and follow the booking instructions on there. And also with DRS, I did notice that online reservations for the Vermilion Park Campground will be opening on April 6th. So that's exciting too, as we've seen the snow melt and people are thinking of outdoor activities even more so with warmer weather. So that's fantastic to see. And with that, that ends my report. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Sakilo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On March 8th, I attended the regular council meeting here at City Hall. On the 9th, I attended a Zoom meeting for the Dauphin and District Community Foundation. On the 10th, I attended with one of the DDCF committee members and myself met to go through a grant that had been applied for. It's quite the interesting process. We have about 64,000, I think, to give away. We've had about 120 some thousand applied for. So very interesting, enjoying that committee. March 15th, attended the PNP meeting here at City Hall. On the 15th, I also completed my Councillor Code of Conduct online training. That's due by the end of May. On the 12th, I attended City Hall here and did our strategic plan video for the rolling out on the 31st. And on the 18th, I attended the hub. Planned to go there for 15 minutes, ended up being there for 2 hours. So they have a lot of wonderful things going and a lot of wonderful female entrepreneurs that I was not aware of in our community. Some really good things happening there. And March 22nd, just today, we met to discuss, I guess, some public safety concerns, and there ends my report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report is rather short this week. March the 8th, I attended a regular city council meeting via Microsoft Media. March 15th, I attended the planning and priorities meeting here in person. As mentioned, I attended the Dauphin and District Chamber of Commerce virtual annual awards event celebration on March the 9th. Congratulations to all the nominees and to those who were recipients of those awards. Very well deserved. I also hung around for the virtual chamber annual general meeting and listened to the annual report, and a slate of directors was appointed appointed for the new year, and want to congratulate Gabe Mercier for taking on the role as president. Vice president, can't remember. But anyways, Gabe Mercier is on his way to be in position as president. March 17th, had a Habitat for Humanity board meeting, and at that board meeting we discussed something new that's coming to Dauphin this summer, the Cycle of Hope, which is a Manitoba cyclothon that's going to be traveling through the province, and there's 3 stops along the way in Dauphin during the week that it's going to be on. And I don't have a detailed report right now, but as things develop, I'll have more to say about that as time moves on. And that's my report.
Councillor Juba.
Thank you. On March the 8th, I attended the City Council meeting in person. I too, on March 9th, was part of the Zoom or virtual meeting of awards night for the Chamber of Commerce, and I just want to reiterate, congrats to all the winners and nominees. As mentioned by Stakilo, I'm not going to go through, but I think you forgot one I didn't hear. Maybe it's the connection, but Rionet by Jerry Roback was also on there, and as mentioned, the business persons of the year were the Federchiks, who have the Fuds store that we really appreciate in our neighborhood. March 15th, Communities in Bloom meeting on discussion on process, and also later that day attended planning and priority meeting. On March 16th, we had a CIB meeting and we did a budget preparation with the DRS. And on March 17th, I had a Zoom webinar with addressing culture competency and cultural safety. This was done by the Dietitians of Canada, very informative. On March 18th, we had a Communities in Bloom meeting. The committee passed the budget and the plans. And on March 19th, I had a phone conference with the Director of Finance on the CIB budget. And I just wanted to read, I had gotten this earlier today, and I received a message from Lauren Elford from the Federated Co-op. And probably lots of you have seen that there was water around the co-op store, and it was determined that the leak was from the food store water line, and they began working on this, and of course they've dug on the south side. But what I wanted to reiterate, in the meantime, a temporary line was run by the city into the store to supply water. The city guys did a great job setting this up for us. So thank you very much. And it's nice to hear that they're appreciated. And I just say that spring is here, but I look and it's snowing. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, it is right here. It is. It's snowing. Not in the north end, just in the south end, right, Rodney? And I just want to caution people to make sure that, you know, with the warm weather and all the things that are opening, to still practice safe in social distancing and wearing your mask. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Lachlan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For me, on March the 8th, I attended the regular council meeting in person here at City Hall. A day later, the 9th, like many other councillors, I attended the online chamber awards. Of course, congrats to all the winners. Won't repeat them. Did want to make a specific mention, though, to Carrie and Rochelle Federchuk, who took home the Business Person of the Year award. Carrie, not so great on the ice, but really great at running a business here in the community. So congratulations again. And also congrats to the nominees and to Stephen Chakota. A really great evening online. Just a really great online format for that meeting. I think Mayor Dohan, you might touch on it, but you're talking about doing that type of thing for the state of the city later in the year. So I'm looking forward to that. On March the 15th, Communities in Bloom process meeting here at City Hall. And then, of course, later on in the day, a strategic planning and priorities meeting in person here at City Hall for me. The next day, a budget meeting in person for Communities in Bloom at Dauphin Recreation Services. And then the Thursday following that, 2 days later, I also had a Communities in Bloom meeting here in person. Like Councillor Eilers mentioned, we passed the budget there and looking forward to budget deliberations coming up very soon. And that ends my report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Bellemare.
Mr. Mayor, on March 4th, I attended a community band meeting. It's always interesting to try and plan for the future during a pandemic, especially for something like playing music where air is getting moved around. So fingers crossed for that. March the 10th, I attended a webinar on something called Block Watch, which is basically an updated neighborhood watch program. This is very popular in British Columbia. Anyone who's interested in starting such a program in our community is welcome to contact me and/or check out information online. This webinar is through something called the Canadian Municipalities Network on Crime Prevention. 15th, I attended Strategic Planning and Priorities, and the 16th, we had a liaison meeting with the RM at the RM office. So watch for marketing information for the business park, which is located on the west side of the city, and Brian Baker referred to that in his report. And on March the 9th, I too attended the Chamber Awards. And besides congratulating all the nominees and the winners that have been named, I also want to thank Stephen Chakota, who leads the Chamber. He introduced Dauphin to the Gather app. That was the app that was so cool. We could all mingle with other virtual attendees, and it's a cool way to be part of an award presentation. So I'm excited to hear that our mayor is looking at doing that for the State of the City address. Some kudos on March 31st. As mentioned, the strategic plan will be unveiled. There's been several meetings about all of this, getting this put together, and councillors have spoken about various parts of the plan, and we're pretty excited to present that. So mark that on your calendar, March 31st. Check the website and phone in or email in and get your questions answered, because this document is guiding our decision making and our work into the future. Our next council meeting is right after both spring break for students and Easter weekend. I'm wishing everyone safety and enjoyment during these important time periods. And that concludes my report. Thank you.
All councillors mentioned what I was going to talk about, and no, just on the March 9th, the annual Chamber Awards through gather.com. What interesting app. I guess you felt like you were there. And congratulations to all the award winners. And as mentioned, we're planning on using the same app for the State of the City address on May the 11th. On May 12th, I did a taping of the strategic plan presentation. May 15th, the strategic planning and priorities meeting. And March 16th, the RM and City Liaison Committee meeting. And that's it. And I never realized I guess we're moving into the Easter period. Let's celebrate it safely and have a peaceful and safe Easter weekend. And we'll see you on April 6th. Thank you. And moved by Councillor Juba, seconded by Councillor Riel. Be it resolved that